Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever met someone who was physically stunning, and yet, the moment they opened their mouth or walked into a room, something shifted? Suddenly, they weren't quite as attractive anymore. And have you ever met someone completely ordinary looking, even unattractive, and yet you couldn't stop thinking about them days later? That is not a coincidence, and it is not magic. Science has finally confirmed what wise people have known for centuries. A study published in the British Journal of Social Psychology involving over 4,000 participants across 10 separate investigations found that people who are kind, helpful, and genuinely good to others are consistently rated as more physically attractive than those who are not. In other words, who you are changes how you look. Today we are going to talk about something that nobody wants to hear, but that everyone needs to know. Because if you are wondering why you keep ending up alone, the answer might have nothing to do with your appearance, your age, or your circumstances. Stay with me until the end, because the most important revelation of all is waiting for you there. Welcome to Avoiding Drama. I'm Carmen, and this is a conversation that is long overdue. Let's start. Let's start with something that should be obvious, but apparently isn't. Personal hygiene. And I'm going to be very direct with you today, because nobody else seems to want to say this out loud. There is a growing number of people who have stopped using deodorant because they believe the aluminum content in antiperspirants is harmful to their health. I understand the concern, I really do. But here is what I cannot understand. Choosing to smell offensive to every single person around you as the solution. I have been in elevators, on public transport, in offices, and yes, even on dates, with people whose body odor was so overwhelming it was physically nauseating. Not slightly unpleasant, nauseating. And these same people would wonder why others kept their distance, why conversations were cut short, why nobody wanted to get close. Here is the truth nobody is telling them. If you choose not to use a conventional antiperspirant, that is completely your right. But if you don't want people to run away from you, you need to find an effective alternative. There are excellent natural deodorants available today that control odor without aluminum. Crystal minerals, baking soda-based options, essential oil formulas, white vinegar mixed with water. They exist. They work. Use them. Because body odor is not just a personal choice, it is something you impose on every person within breathing distance of you. And imposing your smell on others without their consent is not a lifestyle choice. It is a lack of respect. You cannot complain that people don't want to be around you if you are making it physically uncomfortable for them to be there. Personal hygiene is the foundation of every human interaction. It is not negotiable. It is not optional. It is the bare minimum of respect you owe to yourself and to every person whose space you share. Research confirms that hygiene consistently ranks among the top factors shaping first impressions, and that a negative first impression related to cleanliness is one of the hardest to overcome, regardless of how many positive qualities follow. The most expensive cologne in the world cannot replace a shower, and a breath refresher will never replace a toothbrush. The most designer outfit cannot compensate for unwashed hair, and no amount of charm can survive the moment someone leans in and wishes they hadn't. Take care of yourself, not for others, for you first, and then as a gift to everyone who has to share space with you. Now let's talk about appearance. And I want to be very clear from the beginning. This is not about being beautiful, young, or conventionally attractive. This is about effort. There is a profound difference between someone who is born with average looks and makes the best of what they have, and someone who simply stopped caring about how they present themselves to the world. One is genetics, the other is a choice. I have seen extraordinarily attractive people become completely unappealing the moment they walk through a door. Wrinkled clothes, unkempt hair, shoes that hadn't seen polish in years. And I have seen completely ordinary-looking people walk into a room and command attention, simply because they showed up with intention. Clean clothes, well-fitted, not necessarily expensive, but appropriate and neat. Hair that has been washed and styled, even simply, clean shoes, a face that has been attended to. That is all it takes. You do not need designer labels. You do not need a gym body. You do not need to look 20 years younger than you are. You need to look like you respect yourself enough to try. Because here is what your appearance communicates before you say a single word. When you show up put together, you tell the world, I value myself. I value this interaction. I value you. When you show up disheveled and careless, you tell the world, I stopped trying, and I don't particularly care what you think. And people believe you every single time. I remember going on a date with a gentleman who was, by conventional standards, very attractive. Good-looking face, tall, successful profession. But he showed up in a wrinkled shirt, unpolished shoes, and hair that looked like he had rolled out of bed 5 minutes before. The message I received was not, I am comfortable and casual. The message was, you are not worth the effort. Appearance is not about perfection. It never has been. It is about showing up for life and for the people in it with intention and self-respect. Because the world does not owe you a second look if you are not willing to give yourself a first one. Now let's talk about something that many people consider a personal choice, but that affects every single person around them. Addictions and vices. And I want to start with something science has confirmed, because it is important. A 2025 meta-analysis covering nearly 9,500 participants found that people with addictions consistently score lower on honesty, humility, and conscientiousness, and higher on impulsivity, emotional dysregulation, and anxiety. Previous research has also identified traits such as impatience, irritability, uncooperativeness, and lack of empathy as commonly associated with addictive personalities. In other words, addiction rarely travels alone. It typically comes packaged with a set of personality traits that make relationships genuinely difficult. But let's bring this down to earth, because research is one thing and real life is another. Let's talk about smoking. I have met men who were attractive, charming, and accomplished who smoked. And I want to be honest with you about what that experience is actually like for a non-smoker. Imagine leaning in to kiss someone and being hit with the smell of a burnt tire, because that is the most accurate description I can give you. Not romantic, not appealing, physically repulsive. The smell clings to clothing, to hair, to breath, to skin. It enters a room before the person does, and it lingers long after they leave. But beyond the smell, there is a deeper issue that nobody talks about. In a serious, committed relationship, each partner is supposed to care about the other's well-being, their health, their future, their quality of life. So I ask you this, honestly. How is someone going to take care of my health and well-being when they cannot take care of their own? If you know that smoking is destroying your lungs, your heart, and your longevity, and you choose to continue anyway, what does that tell me about how you will handle the responsibilities of a relationship? About how seriously do you take your own life? It tells me everything. And the same applies to excessive drinking, to recreational drug use, to any addiction that a person has decided to prioritize over their own health and over the people who love them. This is not about judgment. People with addictions are often fighting battles that others cannot see. I understand that. But if you are wondering why people keep their distance, why relationships don't last, why you feel alone, ask yourself honestly, am I asking someone to love a version of me that I am not willing to love enough to protect? Because the people who want to be with you, genuinely, deeply, for the long term, also want to grow old with you. And that becomes very difficult when you are actively working against that possibility. Now we arrive at the topic that reveals more about a person's true character than anything else we have discussed today. Manners. And I want to start with the most important point of this entire section, because everything else flows from it. How a person treats others is exactly how they will eventually treat you. Not how they treat you in the beginning when they are trying to impress you. When everything is new and exciting and they are on their best behavior. I mean, how they treat the waiter who got their order wrong. How they speak to the cashier at the grocery store. Whether they acknowledge the person who holds the door for them. Whether they say please and thank you, not as a performance, but as a genuine recognition that another human being just did something for them. Watch those moments carefully, because those moments are the truth. The person who is charming and attentive with you, but dismissive, impatient, or rude to people who serve them is not a charming person. They are a performing person, and the performance always ends. What remains is exactly what you saw them give to everyone else. I have personally witnessed this more times than I can count. Men who were attractive, well-dressed, and socially polished, who spoke to waitstaff like they were invisible, who snapped their fingers to get attention, who left no tip and offered no thank you. And I want to tell you, in those moments, every bit of their attractiveness disappeared. Instantly, completely, irreversibly, because I knew with absolute certainty that I was looking at my future if I stayed. Now let me tell you about something else I witnessed repeatedly, something that used to fill me with genuine anger. On public transportation, trains, buses, subways, I would regularly see healthy, able-bodied men sitting comfortably, phones in hand, eyes down, while elderly women struggled to keep their balance when standing up, while pregnant women held onto railings with exhausted arms, while people with disabilities searched desperately for somewhere to sit. And these men, strong, perfectly capable of standing for 10 minutes, never looked up, never moved, never offered. That single, small, everyday moment tells me everything I need to know about who that person is behind closed doors. The man who stands up for an elderly woman on a train without being asked, without an audience, without expecting anything in return, is the same man who will show up for his partner when it matters, who will remember the small things, who will make you feel seen and valued on ordinary Tuesday afternoons. And the man who stays seated while she struggles is also showing you exactly who he is in a relationship. Believe him. Let me share one more personal experience, because I think it illustrates this perfectly. I was on a date with a doctor, educated, accomplished, attractive by every conventional standard. We sat down to dinner, and as the food arrived, he picked it up with his hands. Not finger food, a proper dinner, with his hands. And he was not the only one. I have been on dates with more than one professional man. Men with advanced degrees and impressive titles, who sat across from me at a dinner table, completely unaware of how to behave in the presence of another person. The degree was there. The career was there. but the basic awareness that another human being was sitting across from them, deserving of a certain level of consideration and respect, was nowhere to be found. And that is the heart of what manners really are. Not which fork to use, not formal etiquette or outdated rules. Manners are simply the daily, visible proof that you are aware other people exist and that their comfort, dignity, and experience matter to you. When they do, it shows. In every small moment, in every interaction. And when they don't, that shows too, loudly, clearly, and permanently. Before I share the most important point of this entire video with you, I want to take a moment to speak directly to those of you who are watching this for the first time. If what you have heard today has made you think, reflect, or see yourself or someone in your life a little more clearly, this is what we do here at Avoiding Drama every single week. Real conversations, honest perspectives, no filters, no sugarcoating. If that is what you have been looking for, hit that subscribe button right now and the notification bell so you never miss what's coming next. And to those of you who have been here from the beginning, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support means everything. Now, let's talk about the most important point of all. And now we arrive at the most important point of everything we have discussed today. Because hygiene can be improved, appearance can be worked on, addictions can be treated, manners can be learned, but human values, those are different. Those go deeper. And those are the foundation upon which everything else either stands or collapses. Let me explain what I mean by human values. I am not talking about religion. I am not talking about politics. I am not talking about any particular belief system or ideology. I am talking about the basic moral compass that determines how a person moves through the world. Do they tell the truth, even when lying would be easier? Do they keep their word, even when no one is watching? Do they take responsibility for their actions, or do they always find someone else to blame? Do they treat people with dignity, regardless of what those people can do for them? Do they show genuine empathy, or do they only care about situations that affect them personally? These are human values, and they are not negotiable in any meaningful relationship. I have met people in my life, and I suspect you have too, who were physically attractive, professionally successful, socially charming, and completely hollow inside. No real loyalty, no genuine empathy, no sense of responsibility toward the people who love them. And I want to tell you from personal experience that there is no lonelier feeling in the world than being in a relationship with someone who has everything the world considers valuable and none of what actually matters. Because you cannot build a life on charm. You cannot sustain love on good looks. You cannot trust someone whose word means nothing, no matter how beautifully they speak. Research published in the Journal of Personality confirms what most of us already know intuitively, that honesty, integrity, and genuine kindness are not just morally admirable traits. They are the traits most consistently associated with long-term relationship satisfaction, trust, and genuine human connection. In other words, what makes someone a good person is also what makes them attractive, a good partner, a good friend, a good colleague, a good human being to have in your life in any capacity. Now I want to say something that might be uncomfortable, but that I believe with everything in me. If you find yourself consistently alone, if relationships never seem to last, if people keep their distance without you understanding why, before you look outward for the reason, look inward. Not with cruelty, not with self-judgment, but with honest, courageous self-reflection. Ask yourself, Am I the kind of person I would want in my own life? Do I treat people the way I want to be treated? Do my actions reflect the values I claim to have? Am I honest, even when it costs me something? Do I show up for others, not just when it's convenient, but when it's hard? Because here is the truth that I have learned through decades of living, loving, losing, and starting over. The people who are never truly alone are not necessarily the most beautiful. They are not the most successful. They are not the most entertaining or the most exciting. They are the most genuinely good. Good in the quiet moments. Good to the people who can do nothing for them. Good when no one is watching. Good not because it benefits them, but because it is simply who they are. That kind of goodness is magnetic. It always has been. It always will be. And here is the beautiful truth that the research we shared at the beginning of this video confirms, and that my own life has taught me over and over again. When you become that person, you stop attracting people who drain you. You stop settling for less than you deserve. You stop wondering why you are alone. Because like truly does attract like. Work on your values. Live them, not just when it is easy, but especially when it is hard. Be the kind of person you are looking for, and watch what changes. Before I let you go today, I want to leave you with something I hope you carry with you long after this video ends. Everything we talked about today, hygiene, appearance, addictions, manners, and values, is not a checklist to judge others with. They are a mirror to hold up to yourself, honestly, courageously, and without cruelty, and ask, is the person I see in this mirror someone I would genuinely want in my life? Because the most powerful thing I have learned in my 62 years of living, through marriages and divorces, through abundance and hunger, through love and loss, through health and illness, through everything life has thrown at me, is this: we cannot change what we refuse to see, and we cannot attract what we are not willing to become. The loneliness that so many people carry, quietly, privately, achingly, is not always about bad luck. It is not always about circumstances. It is not always about the wrong people finding them. Sometimes, and I say this with the deepest compassion, it is about the person they have been showing up as. And the extraordinary, life-changing truth is this: that can be changed. Starting today, starting now, starting with one honest look in the mirror and one courageous decision to do better. Not for someone else, for yourself first. Because when you become the person you were always meant to be, genuinely kind, honestly presented, values-driven, aware of the people around you, you will not have to search for a connection anymore. It will find you. I love you for being here today. I love you for being brave enough to listen. And I love you for caring enough about your own life to want more for it. Until next time, and as always, keep growing. Your future self awaits.